just share with the viewers and listeners your story.
Yeah, so my story is I am an accidental author. I am an accidental speaker. I grew up thinking I was going to be the first female US senator from the great state of Florida. And then I got to law school and I was like, this sucks. I don't want to be here. It was like organ rejection. And so what do you do when you're in a bad place? You date a guy who's terrible for you. So I started dating a guy who I like to say had great taste in precisely two things. The first being obviously girlfriends, and the second being unknown presidential candidates from tiny southern states. And one day it was raining and he drove me home from campus and he's like, I just want to stop at this guy's office. He's running for president. I want to pick up some paperwork. Because this is like back before the internet. So you actually had to like go to campaign offices. And I was like, Governor who? From where? Mississippi? Or sorry, Arkansas? I'm like, not a chance in hell.
Yeah.
And I walked in and there was this video of then Governor Bill Clinton telling the story about how there's nothing wrong with America that can't be fixed with what's right with America. And he offered as a policy proposal community service in exchange for college tuition. And I was like, oh my God, yes, that has to happen. So I dropped out of law school. I joined the campaign. And then the next thing you know, he gets elected president. He ends up in the White House. I end up in the White House. I helped create the AmeriCorps program, which was a crazy first job. And then after about 4 years, I was a little bored. I wanted to do something else. I'd come to do the thing I wanted to do. And I went to talk to a headhunter. And that headhunter was based in Boston. And the guy I was dating then, who was a much better guy for me, who I've been married to for almost 25 years, was about to move to Boston. So I was like, well, that's really interesting. I should work for you. And he's like, you should work for me. And I was like, great, what do you do? And so I ended up in Boston as a headhunter. And I worked for him for 4 or 5 years until I had that moment of rage that every entrepreneur has had when I realized I can do this better and smarter and faster and with more authenticity and more integrity and probably more profit for myself and less cost for my client. And I walked into his office and I was like, here's the way. And he was like, there's the door. So I started my own company and then I ran that for 15 years and I sold it 5 years ago yesterday to the women who helped me build it. And after that, I had this moment of like, I don't know, identity crisis when it's like, if I'm no longer LGO CEO, here's my card. Who the heck am I?
Right.
So I started blogging and the executive producer of TEDx Cambridge saw one of those blogs and said, that would make a great talk. And I was like, no way. I don't want to do a talk. I don't want to do a TED talk. I don't want to speak. That sounds terrifying. And my then 15-year-old looked at me and was like, don't you tell me I always have to do hard things? That's the thing that my kid decides to listen to. So the next thing you know, I'm on the stage, 2,600 people, 3 mezzanines, beautiful gold gilt walls, crystal chandeliers, and I'm speaking. And then that talk gets attention, which gets attention. And I'm moving on, and I'm getting offered to speak places for money. And I was like, well, that's an interesting job. Tell me more about that. And then when I started getting offered even more money, I noticed the other people on the stage at, 10 and 15,000 all had books. So I was like, well, I better get me one of them. So I wrote Limitless, and that brings me here to you today.
Wow.